Hey crafty friends, this is Jenny from crafttestdummies.com, and today I have a Periscope broadcast for you. We're going to do these mixed media backgrounds using distress stamp pads. It's not a new technique, but you know how sometimes you're playing around and it becomes new to you? So it's new to me today, so I'm sharing it, and maybe it'll inspire you to make some Valentine's Day cards. So it all started with this card, which I made for my daughter. And as you can see, I used these nice little cutouts here, and I just wanted a background that had a little bit of texture, but I didn't want to emboss. So I started playing around with my distress inks. And then that led me to make this very simple tag. As most of you know, I'm in the One Little Tag Challenge. I actually started the challenge. And the challenge this week is negative space. So you can see I did some die cutting and I left the smile portion just plain white cardstock, but I did a background on the rest of it. Oh, by the way, thanks for the hearts. I appreciate that. Haven't quite finished it yet, going to put a backing on. But that kind of led me then to this Valentine's Day card, same technique. And I was showing my mom yesterday how this background looks. So easy, easy, easy if you have distress inks. Now it'll work with any water reactive stamp pad set. I kind of feel like the key to this is having some kind of like a little smudger, a blending tool. And I like the Tim Holtz one because that's what I'm used to using. But if you don't have one, by the way, you can make your own tool with an old stamp block, hot glue, or just glue some Velcro on one side. See, I have some Velcro here that I've glued on. And then you can use felt or foam. You can use the kind of foam that you get from Joann's and cut it down. So if you don't want to buy a tool, you can always make your own. Does it work with watercolor paper? We will test it out. I think, though, it works best on smooth paper. Because remember, watercolor paper has texture to it. Here's a piece right here. You maybe can't see in the Periscope, but this has texture. This is smooth cardstock. And by the way, this is only about 80 pound weight. This is not my super duper fancy Nina stuff. This is just lighter weight. So I like it best when you can use a couple of 3 colors in a gradation. And I'm going to start here from lightest to darkest, and I'm going to add some mustard seed. By the way, you'll notice that I am really bad. I don't change colors every time. I just kind of use the same tool over and over again. But I'm using, actually, because I'm right-handed, I'm going to spin this around because that's how I work. And I'm going to go ahead and just kind of spin this color in to the cardstock using a circular motion, or a scrumbling motion as I call it. Then what I'm going to do is go ahead and use my darker color. And I'm going to kind of load it in on the back side, like so. See? And then again, I'm working off of the card and then into it. And you see I'm going to get some blending already. By the way, I am using a palette pad for my work surface today. I had been using one of those Tim Holtz pads, you know, the craft mats that he sells. They're really expensive. I have decided I actually like working on the palette paper better because if I use it up, I can just rip off the top and throw it away. But it's non-stick, nothing's sticking to it, not my adhesives, not the ink. You know, it's basically the same thing, but just really cheap. So there we go. So now I've got some of that, and then I'll add a little bit in the middle, and I kind of work this way. By the way, you can also then take your palette paper once it gets good and used up, and run it through your die cutter and use it in your projects. See, I don't want to let a single thing go to waste. So now I've got my little kind of ombre effect here. And I've saturated the paper. By the way, that was Shabby Shutters, Evergreen Bough. Bet you didn't think that was evergreen, huh? And then mustard seed. By the way, how large is the paper? This one is, maybe 18 inches. 18 inches side to side and maybe 16 inches top to bottom. So this is nice and saturated now. Again, uncoated, regular 80 pound weight cardstock. I love the mustard seed for those of you who might be interested. This just blends with everything. I blend it with it all the time. So I also have it in the Distress Dauber because I like it so much. So here's your, simple. Go ahead and take a mister, and you can just, I unscrew it and I add some splatters. And because it's water reactive, you can use a toothbrush for this or a bigger brush. I just am lazy, and so I use the tip like this, and I like the big splatters. Big splatters work for me. Now we're going to give this just a minute, and you're going to see, you see how it's starting to lift the color and make like these little water bubbles? Yeah, give that some hearts. That's kind of great. As it dries, it's going to get even more pronounced, which I think is a lot of fun. Just a way of adding that kind of like little speckly thing without too much, right? And just to show you, this is what it looked like on the persimmon and violet that I did. See those big drops? Actually, hold on a second. Do I have my embossing gun handy? Because if I do, I can show you. Oh, that's another reason why I like working on the palette paper, because I can just go ahead and heat right on it too. It doesn't react with the heat. Like so. Ta-da! All right, can you hear me when I use the heat tool? Could you still hear me through that? Now, whoops, sorry guys. Oh, thank you, Angela's Art Room. I appreciate that. Yes. See, that's one of the good things about using the little plug-in microphone. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a little bit of the new Mica Sprays. Now, these seem to me to be almost exactly the same as the old Perfect Pearls, but they've kind of discontinued them. They're calling Mica Sprays. Each designer has their own set. I got the Wendy Vecchi set in my grab bag at CHA. So I was just going to show you, see how this one has that little bit of a glossy to it, that little shine? Well, that's what this is. It's kind of awesome. So then you can just give it a little bit of a bath in the sparkle, and it's going to just give you that little glossy, pearly effect. And I really like it. And because, again, it's also not homogenized. It's not 100%. You're going to get like some little spots of mica and then maybe just a little glimmer here and there. So that to me is ready to be die cut and used as a background the same way I did this one. Pretty fun. Now, just one more option with this. I'm going to go ahead and do another background for you. Love it, says KJY1229. Thank you. Really, the thing is, too, is that it gets better as it sits. Like, even just within a few seconds of it drying, you get even more of that kind of color and background peeking through. Now, like I said, I'll do another one. And let me grab, I'm going to get a fresh pad here. This time I'm going to use these three colors. It's kind of watercolory, but it's not watercolory. That's the thing. It's just using regular cardstock and these stamp pads. So now this time I'm going to go ahead and put down some mustard seed because, as you now know, it's one of my favorite colors. It's right up there with peacock feathers. Oh, how I love those peacock feathers. So here's a little bit of yellow. This time I'm going to add some purple on the back side. This is kind of my Valentine's Day combination. And I'm going to scrumble it in here and just get it nice and saturated. And then I'm going to use, this is ripe persimmon in the middle. And I kind of like it. I have juicy stamp pads. You know what? I find these Distress ink pads to be very juicy, which is great. I like this persimmon because it will blend in with the purple and it'll also blend in with the yellow. Kind of give me a coral action here. I'm going to go ahead and give it a little more yellow. And that'll help smooth out this color transition. smooth that out. See, if you get in, if it looks a little streaky, just kind of keep working it and it'll smooth it out a little bit. And a little bit more persimmon on the back side here, like so. All right. Does that look pretty good? Pretty juicy? Maybe a little more purple. I'm also not a perfectionist, so I say this with all, due respect to people who are. Beautiful colors reminds me of a desert sunset, says Cutterbuck. Oh gosh, it kind of does, doesn't it? I didn't even think about that. It would be pretty with just maybe a little, like a little silhouette stamp on there. Ooh, thank you for the idea. I will steal that. So let me put these away for a minute. And this time I'm going to go ahead and give it a little mist, but this time I'm going to do something crazy. I'm going to mist it through a stencil. Okay, you ready for this? I'm going to give it a good hearty mist. Oop, through the stencil. Now maybe that was too much because I saw it kind of bleed underneath. But I'm just going to give this a second to start reacting, and then I'm going to lift it off. Now, check that out. I'm going to go ahead and hit it with the heat gun to kind of force it, but you can see already, especially in that purple, see up here in the purple, how it's lifted the color a little bit and given it a little bit of pattern without giving it pattern. I'm having a little love fest. My heart is going pitter-pat because now we just took kind of that basic kind of spattery, so you can go spattery or you can actually give it some structure. It's not really stamping. Oh, I know we all get so excited, says Rose, when it comes to crafts. We do. It is super duper exciting. So now we've got a little bit of kind of a pattern or a texture in addition to kind of that background. So I just wanted to share that with you because like I said, get super duper excited.
Thank you so much for watching. I hope you were inspired by these backgrounds and maybe you'll give them a try yourself. I encourage you to play along with our One Little Tag Craft Challenge over there on Facebook, or just hashtag your photos on Instagram, One Little Tag, so we can all take a peek. Make sure you take a look at the playlist for other videos related to the One Little Tag Challenge. And as always, check us out on Periscope at Craft Test Dummy so you can see these videos recorded live. Thank you so much for watching and have a crafty day.